Welcome everybody to the Quit Smoking With Me 30-day podcast brought to you by Quit Rich. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what this podcast's intentions and goals are so you have a better understanding of how to use it properly and how to understand it coherently. So, first of all, you need to understand that this is going to be a cold turkey strategy. This is not going to be a situation where I try to get you to wean yourself off of smoking. This is not a strategy where you switch to vape or any kind of nicotine supplement or patches or gum. And there's a good explanation why. A lot of those quote-unquote quit smoking tools are owned by the tobacco companies. In the 80s, they used to fight them when they were first coming out. And they used to say that they were ineffective, and there is studies showing that they don't have a terribly high success rate. They tried their best to discredit them, and then eventually decided that they want a piece of that pie and started making those companies themselves. So yeah, I'm not going to recommend that you do that. I'm going to recommend that you just quit cold turkey. It is challenging, but I believe I'm going to be able to give you as much strength as possible to take that challenge on. This podcast will have advertisements throughout it, and that is basically how we make money. The podcast is for free. Quit Rich basically runs on either advertising money that you hear throughout our podcast or through sales of our clothing line business, which essentially is souvenirs for the Quit Rich experience. This particular podcast is a part of our season 1 content. You can go to quitrich.com to find out more about that. Another big part of the season 1 content is going to be the interactive experience, which for this season is a habit calculator, and it will tell you what your habits are costing you when financial education and compound interest is applied. So go check out that website to learn more about what Quit Rich is, but that is kind of an overview of what this podcast is going to be about. It is going to be an audio log journey of me quitting smoking for 30 days, and I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Randy Tolson, CEO of Quit Rich, and I just want to do great things for the world, and I think quitting smoking is a good way to add something nice into the world, right? But I created an audio log, 30 days of me quitting smoking, with the intentions of having a support system for those that want to quit, but their friends might not be ready to quit at the same time as them, and they feel like they're doing it on their own. I want to give somebody to quit along with, so you can quit with me, the creator of Quit Rich, and hopefully, this podcast lasts a really long time, and I'm successful in my endeavors, and it ends up becoming kind of a big deal to quit smoking alongside somebody that is quasi-important. If that's incentive, then awesome. I know that if there were celebrities out there that I was really into, and people that I followed, and artists that I followed, and they did something like this, I would totally love to have them be my companion, my buddy through the process of quitting something and taking on a challenge so high. So it's 30 days of me holding your hand and quitting suffering right along with you. However, full disclosure, this is the second time that I've quit long term. I quit in the year of 2017 on New Year's, and I made it effectively that entire year without smoking cigarettes, and was able to rid myself of nicotine for the first time in my life. How old was I? I was 33 years old, and I had been smoking since I was about 12 or 13. So many years of smoking, and I never fully rid myself of nicotine longer than maybe 3 weeks. And even I think during those periods I would hit people's cigarettes, so it wasn't complete cold turkey. And I've tried several different things. I've tried vaping, I've tried weaning myself off, tried the gum's nasty, and I'm not saying those things don't work for people, but for me, they just made me want to smoke cigarettes more. So when I went back into smoking, I think it might have even increased the amount of cigarettes that I smoke. So I quit the year of 2017 fully, and then the following year made it a portion of the way into the year, and started off having a pretty bad year. And 2017 was very stressful as well for me, but 2018, there was some bad stuff that happened. People passing one right after the other. I go to Coachella, a trip that I was very much looking forward to, and it ended up becoming the vacation from hell. The long story short, I only really got to hang out at Coachella for one of the 3 days that I paid for. The whole trip itself cost over $1,000, and I was only able to enjoy a small fraction of that, passing a kidney stone, getting poison sickness, weather causing complications with how they let people into the festival, having to wait outside in a park or in a car line wrapped around the blocks of Coachella for about 10 hours straight and getting no sleep. There was just a miserable situation, and that's actually was the breaking point for me. That's why I bring it up and highlight it so much. I figured I'm in California. I've had a rough enough time. I'm just going to really enjoy myself. I'm just going to go ahead and buy a pack of cigarettes at the general store. And I thought I'd be great with just doing that and then leaving the smoking in California. And one of the agreements I made when I quit smoking that time is that I would reward myself with like a cigarette on New Year's, or I wouldn't treat it as if I could never smoke again, but I'm just never going to do it full time and let it get to where it was. And I thought I was going to have the self-control to be able to maintain that. However, I fell right back into one of the number one traps, and we're going to get into that in just a second in one of our Prep-isodes. But I fell into one of the traps of where we use our habits as stress managers, almost like a fidget or a nervous tick. Smoking becomes a way to cope with stress. And sure enough, I fell right back into that trap, came back to my hometown, and more stressful stuff came my way, which led me to just continuously smoke. And once I got to a certain point in the year, I'm like, okay, I'm going to quit again. I just need to pick my start date. And again, we'll get into the importance of picking a start date and mentally prepping yourself for the task that is putting down nicotine in cigarettes and tobacco in general. And it can even be translated to other addictions, but we'll focus on this for just the time being. I started prepping it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to just do a podcast so I can document the struggles that I go through during this period, so other people can see non-smokers, kids that might be thinking about getting into smoking, or may, I don't know if I want to try a cigarette or not. You can see just how brutal it can be for people. Now, since I've already recorded these episodes, I already know what my experience was like for the 30 days, and I'm not going to set you guys up for the wrong expectations. The craziest thing happened. Because I had so much more mental preparation and I knew what to expect, I actually did not struggle very much at all with my second time quitting long term. I knew that the craziness, the cravings, the wildness of my mind turning on itself was temporary, and I knew how great it was to get on the other side of that. It takes a few weeks. For some people, it might take 2 months. But once you get to the other side of it and you start having days where you're not even thinking about smoking anymore, and all of a sudden you're being more productive because you channeled that free time into something more constructive, it is kind of amazing. And it no longer is this intimidating, oh my gosh, I can't beat this thing, I can't get above this thing. So you're gonna hear me go day by day for 30 days. However, you're not going to hear the same kind of struggle that I had in the first year. So I guess my challenge is to the listeners out there that are quitting smoking. Not only can you listen to this as a buddy system, but I challenge you to maybe make the first time somebody quit long-term for the first time documentation and put that out into the world. But this is an interactive podcast. And what I mean by that is it actually is going to expand and grow by community input. So you, the listener, can actually call into the podcast and comment on the particular episode and day's content that we're discussing and give feedback on what you're feeling, and maybe even ask for advice. Maybe you're only able to make it to day 3 and you're like, man, how did you just get over this particular part? And I will respond, and you will become part of this experience, this community experience. The way to do that is you go to anchor.fm/ what do we name this? QR Quit Smoking, I believe, is the address for that. And you go and download the app, find our podcast channel, and you can actually call in through that app and leave voice messages. So you just comment on whatever you want to talk about as far as that topic, and as long as everything sounds good and it's appropriate, we'll add it on here and we'll have a community discussion. You can help other people that are just like you, that are going to be going through this process, and we'll all go through it together. We will all struggle through it and push through it together, but I believe it's something we can accomplish if we have this sort of buddy system going on. The other thing I want to mention is throughout the creation of this, there's been a lot of things that have come to light. You're going to hear some of it repeated in the Prep-isodes. The Prep-isodes are the preparation episodes I want you to listen to way before you get to the actual day 1 episode, where you're quitting day 1 and you're listening at the end of that day, your day 1 episode reward. A lot of the 30-day journey, new tools and tips and strategies to quitting smoking came to light. So I put those in the forefront in the Prep-isode because they're important for you to know beforehand, rather than have you struggle for several days and get midway through it and go, oh, that would have been really beneficial to know that at the beginning. That would have helped me out a lot. We're taking all that good content and pushing it to the front for you. So apologize if you're hearing one of the daily episodes and you go, oh, well, I heard this way back when. Yeah, well, you're also witnessing the documentation of how that information came to light. And some of the Prep-isode content is not like that. Some of it was stuff that I've developed over several decades worth of wanting to put the habit down. So that's a little preparation. I also have built a playlist available on Spotify. It's a season 1 for Quit Rich playlist, and it is a lot of music focused on addiction, and I would say majority of the music was created in 2018. So this is fresh, brand new content, artists that want to bring the conversation of addiction to the light, and some of these songs are just incredible, are mind-blowing. So I would like you to check that out. Maybe you can listen to it during the 30 days that you're quitting smoking and use it as just your soundtrack of that time period in your life, and maybe it helps you. I hope it does. Feel free to share this with friends and family members, even if they don't smoke. It is important to know a lot of the knowledge that's going to be covered here, because it is not just addiction based. It also has a lot to do with finance. If you know anything about Quit Rich, that is where we are basing our season 1, season 2 content. So, all that being said, the last thing I want you to listen out for is the following tone. All right, now what that tone indicates is that we're about ready to play one of our recorded advertisements for you. And it also should be an indicator that either that day's content might be coming to a close, or the original recording for that day's content is coming to a close. At the very cap of the episode, we're going to play the following tone. That's the Rodney Scopes interlude. That interlude is going to let you know that the following content is going to start the next day. So you want to end that. If you're at the end of day 1, you've quit smoking for day 1 or quit your nicotine for day 1, you listen to your episode to get your day 1 content at the end of the day, you want to stop as soon as you hear Rodney Scope's interlude, because that lets you know that it's about ready to start the next day's content, and you shouldn't be listening to that until you've completed that day's going without nicotine. It is the reward at the end of the day. And that's basically all you need to know about the tones. We will have advertisements placed throughout the segments as people add content. We may be putting advertisements in between the responses to that content. We do encourage anybody and everybody, especially if you're an influential person, definitely call in and let people know that you've done it before. And any tips that you have that haven't been discussed here that you think may help people be able to take on their addiction and conquer it, please call in and let us know. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into the Prep-isodes. Check the links in the descriptions for figuring out how to get to us to be able to call in, and also links to be able to see our website, Quit Rich, as well as a link to our Season 1 playlist so you can hear the music we're rocking to. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck. Let's get it.